Now, remember what I said. Sometimes you're going to go down a lead and it might not show you anything. So this one is not quite telling me enough yet. Maybe I want to look at, I'm going to insert a line there. Maybe I want to look at, and I'm going to have to hand label this, I think, my gross charge per discharge. Because I don't think I have the raw number up there, so I'll have to do a little bit of math. But I do have the components I need, which are somewhere up here in the operating information, right there. I have total number of discharges. So up here, I think I have my charges for inpatient there, but that's in millions. So I have to multiply that by, and you can see the formula bar up above, and multiply by a million. So that's my total revenue, gross, and I can divide that by number of Medicare discharges right there. Excuse me, number of total discharges. Now that comes out in the wrong format, but we'll just format that properly, format cells, and we'll make it a number with a with the comma. So there we go. Actually, I'll make it the same format. Here's a little trick. I'm just going to copy this cell. I'll even show you. Right click, copy, and then here I'm going to go right click, paste special, and I only want to paste the format. So I don't the value, not the formula, but just how it looks. So now you see they look the same, or at least the same format. So with that, I have my gross and net for my discharges. Let's do the same for my outpatient visits. Gross, and I'll use the same words that they use. Gross charge per visit, visit being outpatient visits. And I'll do a similar trick right there. I'll go up and I'll find my total up in my operating ratios. Here we go. Total revenue, gross revenue there. And that's in millions. So I multiply it by 1 million. And then I divide that by the total number of patient visits right there. And I'm just going to fix that formula to give it a leading parentheses. And there we go. And again, remember that trick where I did the format, edit special format, there. So now I'm going to copy these across like so. And I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging. I'm doing this on purpose. I'm not showing you the finished product because when you're doing this, you'll probably be going through the same exercise. You'll be shifting things up and down, trying to make sense of things. So one of the easiest ways to make sense of things is always to put things sorting by color or things like that. You want to put like next to like. So here we're going to say, we're going to look at my discharges, my inpatients. So we just inserted a line there. And the way I did that, I just you just click over there, right click, and then you would just say insert right there. That's how you would do that. And now I'm going to take this row and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to paste it right there. And now I don't need this space anymore, so I delete that column or that row. So what I'm looking now is you can see your gross charges. Click, click, click. Your gross charge, wow, you can actually see it big right there. Look at your gross charge. You definitely started charging a whole bunch more in 2021. And did you do the same thing on outpatient? It doesn't look like you went as crazy on outpatient, but looking at those percentage changes, let's look at right there and right there as well. And there, and there. We're just filling out these for all of those. I think if I did this right, I think I can just copy that up, and I can. Same is true there. The reason I'm also doing some of these copy tricks is, look, I know it looks like a lot of numbers, but it was actually just one formula that I copied many times. But here's what you can see when this is a long walk to find out. What did we find out? There's part of the answer right there. Your gross charges went up astronomically from 2020 to 2021. So you did start charging more. And as a result, when you start, remember I said you might charge more out of the blue, but if your contracts with Medicare and Blue Cross and everybody else don't change, they're still just going to pay you what they pay you. So your net is not going to change that drastically. And you can see right there, it didn't. So even though my charges went up 19%, my net only went up 9%, a small fraction of that. And you can see on the outpatient side, you also went a little bit nutty with a gigantic increase in the amount you charge. But your net price, in other words, what you actually expect to collect, it still went up, but not as much. So in terms of answering your boss's question, like how come it all comes down to why did my deductible ratio go up so much in that year, 2020? The answer looks to be down here, which is to say, it looks like we started charging a bunch more for every admission, but basically our payer contracts didn't keep pace. So quite naturally, that contractual allowance, excuse me, that deductible ratio, which is basically the difference between what we bill and what we expect to collect. That deductible ratio, that's naturally going to go up because we're going to have to deduct more. In other words, write more off because bluntly, we weren't even expecting to get that. So this is a pretty good mini table. You've got a few different components here. The first thing we did, just to review, is we took the raw ratio and its components and we looked at those over time, and then we computed percentage change just to help ourselves find it's easier to look at percent change than to try and read the numbers themselves. So we looked at the percent change, and that helped us see something big happen in 2021. And then we went fishing for related measures. What things are related? Where does your deductible ratio come from? And remember, it comes from your deductions and your gross patient revenue. So we said, okay, let's go and look at our gross patient revenue. And in this case, we're going to look at it broken out by inpatient and by outpatient. And then your deductions, which would be deductions are the difference between your gross and your net. So right there, your deduction amount is that difference right there. So we're going to look at your deductions. So given your deductions are the difference between gross and net, we said, well, one of the related measures will be to look at our gross and net by inpatient and outpatient right there. And then we zoom those numbers across. And again, those numbers, it's hard to read all those different numbers. We were just borrowing them from up above. But down here, our percentage change, that's where things lit up. Now, in terms of what to put in a document, you can make it a little bit prettier, and please do. You can make it prettier, and don't be afraid to use highlighting like I did to show, hey, this is the important cell. But at this point, you've got a little table right here, and I call it a mini table. Oops,